My 3 years at the University of Idaho Law School were the 3 best years of my life. I had so much fun, I worked so hard. I was surprised when I graduated, but it all worked out, so.
The College of Law at the University of Idaho opened my horizons in a lot of areas and then let me choose the path I wanted to follow.
I had a warm affection, and still do, for the University of Idaho, not just for the College of Law. I remember coming up here when I was on the Court of Appeals, and I gave a lecture and attended a football game in the Kibbe Dome. It was my first time there. And when the Vandal fight song was played, or what they called in the old days, Go Vandals Go, I felt this very warm feeling. And my mother, who was still living at that time, said, well, we know why that was. When you were a baby and had trouble sleeping, we walked the floor with you and sang, Go Vandals Go. So biologists would say I was imprinted. When I came here on my first visit, the building that we're in now, the Menard building, had already been built, but had just recently been built. In fact, at that time, going into the early 70s, the University of Idaho had the only law school in the West that didn't have its own building.
We started at the administration building, which was built in the 1890s or 1900s. Took up 3 floors, 1/3 of the building, 3 floors, and first floor was the library. The next 2 floors were classrooms.
They were in the south wing of the administration building, and they had the first floor of the south wing, and there was part of the library was down in the basement along with the university's computing center in those days.
There was a question at the time about whether the new building for the law school should be constructed in Moscow or should be in Boise. The Boise Chamber of Commerce had passed a resolution calling upon the university to put the law school in Boise. The faculty said that's not a good idea from an educational standpoint. The law school should be part of a university community, a university campus for intellectual and educational reasons. Dean Menard was an avid advocate of keeping the law school here, and President Hartung was also. So they eventually prevailed, although there were some turbulent waves in the waters of public education. But it took until 1972 to get the funding package put together from the legislature and the Permanent Building Fund to break ground on a new building. Governor Anders came up and put a spade in the earth. It was just a great relief for students to be able to say that they had gone to a law school that was not now the only one without a building.
Then in I think it was our second year, we moved to the Menard building. Brand new, spanking new, beautiful place. So much room compared to the old building.
Just to show how tight the money was, the university had to ask the legislature for a little additional money just to put furniture in the building. Money was raised. The students themselves authorized a construction fee to help with the funding of the building. Students assisted in moving some of the existing furniture out of the administration building and the books out of the library in the administration building, and brought all of that over here, and the law school building was dedicated in 1974 and was subsequently named for Dean Menard in recognition of his efforts.
As I recall, we were the last class to go through and never had to have one day in the Menard building. But we knew it was under construction. We knew what it would look like and all of that. So really, I can't give a tribute to the building. All I can do is have this be essentially my tribute to the man.
Justice McQuaid said, would you like to go to dinner with me? I'd like you to meet somebody. Well, that somebody was Al Menard. He was a very charming and kind of loquacious person. He talked, as one of his colleagues said, like he came straight out of Georgia, although he really didn't. But he had a mellifluous Southern accent, and I came away feeling that the University of Idaho was very lucky to have him.
He was very formal, a Southern gentleman. I can still hear him say the law, as he pronounced it. And in that opening session, when he welcomed us, he was the first to welcome us as 1Ls. He gave the famous, "The law is a jealous mistress" speech, which didn't impress we 5 women, let me tell you.
He never once said, "I think you should go to law school." So that was why I was so intrigued by his reaction when I said, "I think I might like to." And his response was, "I'll be down this weekend." So he drove from Moscow to Pocatello, armed with all manner of books and whatnot.
I think you have to understand what the Menard building has seen and how it has helped build entrepreneurs, remarkable lawyers all over the nation, remarkable jurists. We have probably as good a judiciary as any state in the Union. So the Menard building is more than brick. It is, in fact, an ongoing lifeblood of Idaho, quite frankly. It isn't truly produced and supported Idaho for 50 years. So kudos to Dean Menard, that Southern gentleman who has changed Idaho forever.